Welcome back, mere Mortalites, to another edition of the Mere Mortals monthly retrospections, learnings, whatever you want to call it. It's just really a chance for me to sit down, really review and go through a bit of a summary of the things that I've been doing, the things that have been successful, the learnings, what hasn't been working well. And again, I'm just trying to encapsulate it into something that's probably easy to absorb, hopefully, not just for your sake, mere Mortalites, for honestly, for me. It's for me to review, sit back, both enjoy, take the learnings. Once again, I do this naturally, and for me, it's a daily journaling. I'll actually go a little bit into more detail as well as to how I actually broke it down for the month of August, which is what I'm going to be talking about today. So perhaps if it's something that you want to incorporate, take, or it's a learning, go for it, do it. But let's begin with that, how I actually track some of this information. So for me, once again, I've got an Excel spreadsheet. That Excel spreadsheet has set up in a, I'll go through via the columns. First column is basically the date. The second column, third column, fourth column are my ratings for my body, mind, and goal, which is from 1 to 5. 1 being obviously sort of porous. I think 2 is like what I do expect, my neutral maintenance, and then it just goes up from there. Then the next column is the important piece, is what I try to fill out daily, and has 3 big sections. 1, my philosophy for the day. So I try to break down the day into a philosophical sort of comment question for myself. It's just what I do. It's kind of a play on what Marcus Aurelius did in a lot of his comments and notes. I really took away from that from meditation, so it's cool. Been doing that. Another section for learnings, and then a final for just journaling the day. So that's the way that I structure it. And then there's a big section around just my sleep, and I'm tracking my numbers from a daily perspective, just using the Apple Watch in terms of the numbers that come out of there. And then a final column, which is all about my journal updates around my daughter. So that's kind of how I structure it. If you want to follow something similar to that, feel free to take it. If you want to ask questions about it, let me know. Happy to support. Happy to even share some of like the blank states with it if it helps. Let me know, Immortalites. But then into the actual August then. So what I generally do is I'll review that big summary from every single day. I'll leverage some of the tools like ChatGPT and others to kind of congregate, summarize, find my learnings. Then I'll review that. Then I'll do my own analysis, kind of pull out some of those details. And here it is, which is what I'm talking about today. So that's to give you a bit of an idea of the sausage behind it all. So what are a couple of things? I ended up doing a 12-kilometer run as part of that month. I also ended up doing a 13-kilometer run, which was in fact faster than the 12-kilometer run, which I was really happy with that, which was a week afterwards. I ended up doing a competition as well, which is called a TAC competition, Tenerife Athletic Club competition. It's with my partner. This was real fun. It was a, let me if I remember correctly, it was a 1-kilometer ski erg, 2-kilometer row, 3-kilometer bike erg, and then a 4-kilometer run together. And we're going pretty well on those machines. And then we got wrecked on the run because my partner is not a runner. So, but it was fun. It was real fun. I'll talk about that as well today. I ended up hitting a 200 kilo squat, 120 kilo clean press, and a 90 kilo snatch, which was really good for me. Again, here's a combination of running and the lifting that I just really enjoy. And if you know me in the past, me and Mortalites, it's what I love to do. Also managed multiple high intensity workouts despite a lot of fatigues, which was really good. And I balanced a lot of the work that I was doing. So I was actually, beyond just what I'm doing right now for the Mere Mortals podcast. There's a few other things that I do. And I was really transitioning away from the current previous contracting work into a new phase of life where I'm supporting a really good friend of mine in a brand new company that I've been an advisor for a little while, deciding to transition into that fully fledged. So I'm not going to share much details. Perhaps I will sometime in the future. Needless to say, it's been making my days very full in a really good way. Really across the month stayed focused on family, obviously during a particular event, and I will talk about that event a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. And I successfully juggled a lot of family time. So there was a lot of work commitments and then just balancing it out with family time. So that's kind of like top level headers around, the month that was. There was and look, I actually encountered this on the 1st of September. So, don't shoot me here, but I'm going to talk about it as part of the learnings for the month for August. And it is I'm probably going to mispronounce this, so whatever. But it is a statement that is Eudaimonia. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly. And I saw it as part of the world record that Ross Edgley completed for the 510 kilometers, 56-hour non-stop swim that I've got here. Noted down a little video of that of his. I'll link it if you want to go and check that out because it's very, very cool. But as part of that particular definition, and the way that it was referred to in that video is, it refers to the concept of living a complete and fulfilling human life according to the Eudaimonic tradition. Butchered it. It emphasizes the process and content. It emphasizes the process and content of a well-lived life rather than focusing solely on happiness as an outcome. Again, it's a focus on the process. Said another way, it's the focus of doing and ensuing happiness coming from the doing, as opposed to focusing on, I need to be happy. So I didn't even know this was a word. Again, there's probably a specific traditional word, but that Eudaimonia, and I'll look after this. I'm sure how to pronounce it. I'll pronounce it completely wrong. Whatever. Go look it up. I like that. I like that view that doing things for the action, for the process, for the this is step by step what I'm going to do because I've set it out to do it, and in the end that having the ensuingness of success or happiness or gratefulness, all those things kind of come because you're doing right. And here at the Mere Mortalites, we love that the default action, the effective philosophy. That's right up my alley. So I wanted to start with that because there was a lot of that. In that, a lot of the joy, a lot of the happiness came from because I was doing things. I talked about it before, from doing the runs, from doing the competition, from doing the balloting that I was doing, and transitioning from the work that I was doing to what I'm doing today. So that's key pieces. A couple of those now I want to just break it down, go into the actual detail of some of these ones. One, so this is all grouped up into resiliency, growth, and mindset. One, pushing through the struggles. What I've got here is, and again, this is taking a lot of my philosophical summaries of the month, sort of conglomerating together and kind of sharing that back. So one of that pushing through the struggles is that not every day is a good day, and that's okay. It's in the struggles that I learn to lean on past successes and push through. So once again, it's that I've seen this in Goggins' book. I've seen this in a few others. It is when things are not going that well, going into the, as Goggins calls it, the cookie jar, right? Pushing through by virtue of the successes that you've done prior. For me, it was quite often, and it was in the transition of the work, right? There was some difficult moments around, again, am I ready? Am I capable? Is this going to be all too much? And I needed to oftentimes reach into the cookie jar and pick up a cookie of, look, I've done that before. 3 years ago, I did this already. That's something that I've gone through. Sure, it's a unique case right now, but it was so in the past as well. It was also unique in that each moment's going to be different, but there's also a lot of similarities. And in that, I can push through the perceived struggle, right, in the mind really, versus what I know I am capable of. And looking back now, I was completely capable of doing that transition, and it all worked well. So fantastic. The second one there is the growth in discomfort. So there is no success or great accolade that doesn't involve a little bit of pain, blood, sweat, and tears. Now that very much reminds me of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I think he says something very, very similar. But look, pretty independent, right? Without a little bit of discomfort, you can't find some growth. Is that always the case? I'm sure you can find some growth without some discomfort. Fine, I'm sure we can detail it some. But in a large part, you're going to have a little bit of pain. You're going to have a bit of discomfort. You're going to have the blood, the sweat, the tears that comes from just pushing, right? And I think the other way you could potentially say it is, if you want the ordinary, then you can go and do ordinary things. But if you want the spectacular, if you want to exceed expectations of whatever you want to denote that, success, growth in a particular area or function, you're going to have to go do different things. You have to do the unordinary. You have to do the things that are not expected of you, and that's going to come with some pain. That's going to come from the discomfort. Mindfulness and presence. So for me, stepping away from social media made me more present. The simple act of removing distractions helped me be more engaged, not just with others, but with life itself. And yeah, this was super true. I've actually noticed, so going back to my phone, you can do this. You can check on the hours that you spent on your particular phone, on what the different type of apps. I've actually seen it gradually trend down. And it wasn't, once again, because I was trying to do something about it. It was life has become so full that I just had to do that. That's just what happened. And that was good. Like, I'm glad that decreased in the sense that it forced me, it was like a forcing function to, hey, stop participating in that as much. Have I noticed much of a difference? Not really. And you've probably also seen that actually in the Immortalites, in the side of the Mere Mortals podcast, whether it's our socials or other places, I've had to take a bit of a step back to go and do all these other things. And that hasn't been a bad thing. It's been okay. I've survived. I've been doing other stuff, but I'm starting to put more time towards you guys. You'll see it. More lights. I'm coming. I'm empowering you. Go. Let's go to another section, which is more so about balancing work and life. So the family over work. And I'll summarize it this way and I'll explain the story. It's in the moments with my daughter and my partner that I'm reminded of what really matters. Family is my anchor in a sea of challenges, and also on the shifting priorities. Work demanded a lot, but I found solace in knowing that I could separate my self-worth from my work achievements. It's just a job. My purpose is bigger. So this one was a toughie, I guess, in the pushing the limits physically and the shifting priorities and family over work. In that this particular month that just went by, we had a pretty, how would I describe it now? It was an eye-opening experience in which, and I'll be very brief, at about 8 p.m. at nighttime, we normally put down our daughter for a sleep at around 6:30, 7 o'clock. She'd go down. We were sort of chilling out somewhere else. We heard a little cry. For whatever reason, it just perked up in my mind that, oh wow, like that was different. That was strange. What was I doing? Why would she make that cry? We checked on the camera and actually saw that she was kind of waving her arms, and we thought, oh, interesting. Is that a nightmare perhaps? Something else? It was indeed not a nightmare. Silly one. It was a seizure, something that we had to rush in and deal with. And so after, ambulance was called, came out, hospital visit, making sure everything was okay. In the end, look, she's fine. She's fine now. We obviously had to keep a close eye on her for quite a few weeks. But in the moment and the preceding, the following couple of days, it was not shocking, but it was something that highlighted to me that family has to and will always come over the top of work. And even more so, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to either precede what you've just gone through or what's going to follow up afterwards as well. There's a kind of stoic principle around when you tucking your kids to bed, almost thinking through that, this might be the last time that you're actually seeing them. And I guess giving yourself that, being grateful at that moment. If a new day comes up and they wake up, then you're grateful for that moment as well. Yeah, it was pretty tough. It was pretty impactful. Once again, I'm fine with it. So is my partner, so is my daughter. But it's a reminder that, as much as you think the priorities may lie elsewhere, and sometimes you do. Sometimes you think it's work or, creating a video or doing a blog or starting a new company. There's higher values, right? You won't know until sometimes something bad happens. And that's what is needed to shake you to actually make you aware of actually the higher value and a higher purpose for what I should be doing. So that's a combination there around the physical and mental endurance for the month. And there was a lot of, a lot of learnings in that, in dealing with it, in reacting to an emergency, in being present for not just my partner and my daughter and my family, but myself, right? There was a lot of being present for myself. Let's talk about the physical and mental endurance for the month. Pushing limits. I guess I talked about the running, and I was running 12 kilometers, reminded me of me. I'm stronger than I think, mentally and physically. I don't need the high and lows. Just being centered works just as well. And I saw that as well in the 13-kilometer run and a few other longer runs. In that, I don't have to be the fastest. I don't want to be the slowest, but I also just have to be in a neutral pace. There was instances in that run where there was some walking, there was some laughing because of whatever I was listening to. But again, a more neutral base to my, physical pushing there was just okay. Like, it was fine to just go through that. And again, going back to the starting bit, it is through the action of doing that brought a lot of joy and a lot of happiness, a lot of, internal success to what I wanted to achieve. And at the same time, and this connects with the earlier point of story about my daughter, fitness as therapy. Look, there was the 2 days after that particular incident, I noted it down. I used all my frustration to smash out a great workout. Those moments pushing through the fatigue, where real growth happens. That particular day, I went in CrossFitorian and I was angry, I guess is the way that I would probably represent that energy that I had. It was just releasing the anger, maybe the frustration, maybe the scared feeling that I had with him. It was all kind of like a joint, bit of a ball, all like tightly knitted in, and I had to release it. And again, for me, fitness is therapy. It was just releasing that, letting it go. In probably 80% of that workout was just thinking of what happened, where we sit today, how grateful we are of that. But at the same time, I was, clean and jerking and snatching, and it was just, there was a lot of power, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of energy. And honestly, I enjoyed it. It was a really good workout. But sometimes fitness is a therapy, and for me, it's probably more than it is less that fitness is therapy. And I'll probably finish off with the adapting to change. Yeah. So really embracing change. So a constant of life is change. It's not about avoiding the lows. It's about riding them out, learning to move forward. There was a lot of changes. Once again, there was changes in my workplace and what I was actually doing. You could deem it down to my identity, right? I've had a role in a particular role for a very long time, something that I've been in and out of for a very long time, but I was known as, hey, I'm this. And all of a sudden I wasn't. I can embrace change in a lot of ways. Sometimes when identity gets called into question, either by, and generally it's by yourself, it's not by others, generally by yourself, because you're the one thinking about what you identify as. I think it's important to also know, and that's my learning as well, is that you got to embrace that as well. Sometimes it's going to change. You can't expect everything to be forever. That's not the way that the life works or the universe works. Entropy will take everything down with it. Some things slower, some things faster. And it was embracing change. So if there's one thing you got to remember is that one thing you have to expect, I think the way to say it is there's three mandatory or things in life that always occur: death, taxes, and change. So be aware of that. And then the final one I'll probably call out on some of the wins and achievements, right? And the key win was doing the Tenerife Athletic Club competition. And I've got to talk about this because it wasn't a thing that I joined in to say, I'm going to win, right? I'm going to be the best. In fact, even if I'd gone in with a really good person, I wouldn't have won. Like, I'm not that great. But it was all of a purpose of, it was about finishing together. I've known, pushing through discomfort and realizing it's all mental. Was a tough sort of workout. Yeah, it could have been tougher in other ways. Yeah, but the end result was, the key win was I was there with my partner. We did something together. It was a joint effort. It was fitness, which, I really love and enjoy as well. And getting to participate with my partner and doing that is just awesome. We had a great time afterwards. I think we tried to get a massage, couldn't because they were all booked out, and went to go have some great food. So it was just this awesome day that we put together. And the key win wasn't that, I'm not telling you how many minutes it took us to do that particular thing. In fact, I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. Even though we were very slow. We were very, very slow. But I don't care. The key win there was that around that, it was in doing the action, again, pulling it back to the beginning, in doing the action, participating, a lot of things ensued, which is a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, a lot of success, a lot of, insert whatever else that may be. So if there's one key takeaway, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this point. The word Eudaimonia, right? It emphasizes the process and content of a well-lived life rather than focusing solely on happiness as an outcome. So if I can leave you with anything, the Immortal Lights, my biggest learning for the month is focus on the processes and what you need to do to have a well-lived life in whatever domain you choose to pursue. And if that's multiple, kudos, go do it. If it's one thing, do it and do it hard. But don't focus solely on the happiness and outcome, right? That'll come, that'll ensue. And whether it's the changes, the waves of life, and everything that I've shared with you today, I'm sure you're having plenty of things that are also occurring in your life. Take it in step, expect the changes, and have fun doing it. Immortal Lights, I'm going to leave it there. Once again, Value for Value is the way that we like to be supported. Comments through whatever you're listening to this at the moment, that helps. If you want to send through some Satoshis, which you can do so through the Value for Value model, that's awesome as well. With a comment, fantastic. We'll call it out in the usual sessions that me and Karen do. Just share it with people if you find it interesting. But once again, plenty of ways you can reach out. Do it. But for now, we're going to leave it there, me Immortal Lights. Thank you very much to hearing me talk a big blast about August and all of the learnings. I hope you're well, wherever you are in the world. Bye now.